So the restoration on the 280 TE continues, but one problem after the engine's been put back in is it idles very high. I don't have the RPM counter in. So my mechanic felt that it was probably the auxiliary air valve, which sits here on the M110 on the left block. You can see up there. And so we didn't think it was the cold start valve. So getting this off is a little bit of a nuisance. I do have a hoist, but you can do this without one. It's just you get a bit of a coolant shower. So you start by taking off the two clamps on the air hoses here. And the other clamp you can't see, but it's tucked up there at around the 2 o'clock position. So both hoses are now off. Then you need to get the two 8mm bolts off. There's one at the top which is a bit hard to see, and these are a bit awkward to put back on in particular. Getting them off is not so bad. Now when this is loosened, coolant will flow out, and so it makes a mess. Here's the newly padded engine bay getting a coolant shower. It's probably about 3.5 litres. So I'm just drying all this mess up now before we have a look at the auxiliary air valves that I have. So here's the one that was on the car, and to be honest, this is gaping open a little bit more on the other side than the other versions I had. Now admittedly it would actually close up but incompletely. I'm sorry about the focus on the phone, it's not particularly sharp. So there's the old one on the left and a new one, or reportedly new, I've bought over eBay, and that's the opening that's on the reported new one. Now you need the gasket for these. So here's the old one that was on the car, and I'm sorry but the steam causes the camera to fog up, which is why I'm pulling it away. You'll see that the actual piston does raise up. Sorry about the avoidance of the steam, but it is rising up. It just doesn't completely close it, and this permits a vacuum leak. So that's as far as basically the old one would get, and that's a fair vacuum leak, which certainly could have been causing some of the issues. Now this is the reported new one. You can see the part number, there. And there's the heat sensitive portion. And so I've just put this on a bit quicker for time lapse, but this is about 1.5 minutes, and you can see the pistons closing up. I'm not quite sure what the actual time frame should be for if this is legitimately new. Maybe someone sold me a reconditioned one, I don't know. This is the same one again. I've just put it back in there just to show with some better footage, I hope. You see the piston closing up on time lapse. And it does get to completely sealed, this one here, compared to the old one. So you can see here now, there we go, completely sealed up. There shouldn't be a vacuum leak. Now this is another unit that I had. My mechanic provided this one as a functioning unit, and so admittedly it had a different opening. You can see there it's not like the other ones, but you can see this one's actually pretty quick in how it raises up. I just wasn't confident that that was enough opening, and it wasn't like the one that was on there. So this one completely seals, actually a little bit quicker. Now this is after they've all been in the boiling water. You can see the two functioning ones remain closed for, this will be a few minutes after they've been in the boiling water. And once again, here's the new one with the temperature sensitive portion that goes in the coolant in the block, and there's the gasket and the old gasket that There we go. There is a supposedly new auxiliary air slide valve in place, clamps done up, hoses on, gasket in place and 8mm bolts are down.
So that is 3 litres plus probably one, that's maybe 4 litres
I've used coolant or lost coolant, so now I need to put in 4 litres. So it's 2 litres of that, 2 litres of that, and 2 litres of distilled or demineralised water. So following the replacement of the auxiliary air valve, you've got 2 other aspects to adjust, including the idle control there. You can see with the plastic that's turned with a flathead just above your engine number. And there's the fuel adjustment. You take that straight head out and then you stick your Allen bolt down there, and an adjustment of those 2 can alter the idle. Now, altering the idle control one there, you can turn it all the way off to block the air intake, and if you've got a faulty air valve, the engine will still run, whereas if you fully close that so no air is getting through, well then if the auxiliary air valve is working and is closed like it should be when it's warm, that will cause the engine to stall. So that's one way of checking that your air valve is actually working.